If you saw the word control in the title of this video and immediately said, yes, I want that, then you're on the right video. I'm going to talk to all of you who are used to controlling things in your life, your career, your schedule. You are highly motivated and looking for some control in your breastfeeding and pumping experience as well. Let's talk about that. I actually had a client recently who thanked me for giving her control of her milk supply, her expectations, her journey, when to wean, and it really struck me. And so that's what I want to share with you. By the end of this video, I want to cover things that you can control and things that you can't, and then kind of come up with a game plan for finding and taking control of an often chaotic and overwhelming part of your life. If you do decide while you're watching this that this is something that you want some help, you want a long-term coach to help you get control of your experience and really do things on your own terms, there's an application link down below to join our coaching program. I'd love to speak with you. Okay, so as we start off this video, I think it's really fitting to start with the words from my client, Sunny, who really inspired this video. So here's what she said. I think you're really going to resonate with her experience and her story too. I'm going to read it for you so I make sure I get it right. She said, I finished my pumping and breastfeeding journey on Wednesday, and I could not be more proud of myself. My original goal when we first spoke was to provide my daughter with breast milk for the first 12 months of her life, but that was an arbitrary goal. What I truly wanted, but couldn't articulate at the tender time of just being 6 weeks postpartum, was that I wanted to do this on my own terms. No one prepares you for how out of control you feel in every area of your life when you bring a human into the world. But with your program and support, I was able to control how I nourished my baby. I could have kept pumping and breastfeeding until 12 months and probably longer. My supply maintained at an incredible level because of everything I learned here, but I made the choice that I was ready to wean off. I knew that if it started affecting my mental health, that's when I would stop, because if I'm not at peace, then I can't be the best mom that I know I can be. I run a business and I went back to work at 3 months. Between managing a team and clients around the world and managing my own emotional state while trying to be present for my baby girl has been a wild ride. I never could have achieved this in my way and on my own terms without this program. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me a sense of control and allowing me to feel so darn fulfilled and at peace with my journey in what has been such an unpredictable season of life. I remember when she posted that win in our community, really being struck by some of the things that she said. It's really hard to know where you want to go and what you need when you are thick in postpartum life. And honestly, the perfect time to come and work with us is while you're on maternity leave. But it can be really hard to know what's coming up and clearly articulate what you're looking for. I loved how she said that. I think what a lot of moms that I work with, you tend to be, a little more type A, a little more controlling in your life. You're like data, you're not afraid to learn. You want to understand your body so that you can have control of this experience. And that's what I want for you too, to be able to do this on your own terms and to say, I get to make these choices, not because it's too hard or I'm falling apart or it's not working. Those are the scenarios that I really hate to hear. All right, let's start off really quickly talking about the things that you cannot control. There's a lot of wisdom in knowing what's out of your control, because when you know what you don't need to worry about, you're really saving your most limited resource during this period, which is your brain power. You are stretched very thin. We only need to be focusing and worrying and fixing the things that are actually in your control. Actually, I wasn't sure if I was going to share this, but I'm going to pull it up on my computer here. The Serenity Prayer is a really wonderful thing and gives a lot of clarity. I've never been in AA, but this little thought is so powerful and applicable here. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And that's really what we're tackling. So some of the things that are out of your control is life, okay? Life happens. We have no control of the obstacles and the shifts that are placed in front of us. We also can't control the actions of others. So your partner or your extended family or your daycare providers, that's a common one that we struggle with a little bit with my clients in our program. Your boss, your coworkers, all of these situations, we can't control what other people do or think, but their actions affect us, right? And we can control some of those things. But in a lot of cases, you're kind of just given what you are, and you're not going to change people's minds necessarily, but We can control that, right? So it's not a good use of your brain power as a busy working lactating mom. Another thing we can't control are acts of God or nature, right? Pandemics, death, natural disasters. Sometimes these things are placed in our path and we've got to manage them. So let's talk about the things you can control, right? There are things that you have power over to make this experience work and do it on your own terms. So let's talk about those. Now, control doesn't mean perfect. Okay. And if you're anything like me, and a lot of you that subscribe and watch these types of videos are very similar to me, so I really understand you. I tend to attract a lot of these kinds of moms as well. So control doesn't mean that you're going to get what you want. It doesn't mean that you can manipulate the situation to fit your mold. Okay. It also doesn't mean that it's always going to be easy. Actually, here's what it does mean. It means the power to influence or direct a course of events, or determine the behavior or supervise the running of. And I think that's really what we're trying to do here, is trying to direct the course of events in a direction that we want to go, or supervising what's happening with our milk supply, with our pumping, with our baby feeding. We don't always get to control the specifics, but we're trying to generally move it in a good direction. I think that's a really healthy form of control and includes things that you actually have control over. I've been saying that word a lot, but essentially we're not shooting for perfection, okay? We are aiming for effectively supervising your milk supply and experience. We want to be able to make wise and informed decisions and to be able to do this on your own terms. Got it? Okay, the first thing you can control is your milk supply. All right. And sometimes things are a bit out of your control, but ideally we want to give you as much control as possible. We like to call this a predictable milk supply, meaning that you have a good understanding of how breast milk is made. You have a realistic idea of what your own supply is like and what it can do and what it can tolerate and cannot. So what kind of things move it up and down. And you also know what your supply needs and goals are. That's a really important piece of this too. So what this looks like in practical application is, number one, you know how much milk you need or what the goal is that you're shooting for, and you know how to fit the pump into those goals. You are able to effectively remove milk from the breast when you choose to, and you're able to adjust your milk supply up or down depending on what you want or need. You have a good understanding of what works best for you and where to go for help when a problem does arise. Okay? That's what control in your milk supply looks like. It's not saying, I think I need 50 ounces a day and I'm going to get it and I'm going to do no matter what and I'm going to push and push and push and try all of these things. That's out of control, right? One, maybe the realistic expectation isn't aligned, and then trying everything and just like pushing toward this goal is also not control, right? We need to slow down, understand what's happening, get to know your own supply, and then work towards a realistic goal. We might be able to get to 50, right? That's an insane amount of milk. Maybe for twins, maybe that's your goal. You're trying to get to 50 ounces a day for twins. That's a common one. Let's get there, right? But it needs to be intentional and in control. Does that make sense? Okay, the next thing you can control is your mental health. And this one is a little bit variable, especially for postpartum moms. Sometimes we do lose a little bit of control, but you can control how you react to it and what you do with what is happening. So postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, these are real, all right? And you don't get to control what your hormones do and how that affects you. You do get to control what you do about it, okay? So if you're feeling feelings of overwhelm beyond what are considered normal or appropriate for a mother in a postpartum period, you need to get some help. And sometimes that includes medication, and that's a good way to control, right, what you've been given, all right? That reminds me, there was a good quote from Stoicism, which is a practice that really resonates with me. And I should have written it down. I can't remember, but it said something about I am only the archer, so I'm only the archer. I can't control where the arrow lands, And so that really fits here, is we can do what we can on our end, but sometimes we don't get to control what happens if there's wind or if it's a little off mark. We do our best with the things that we have available to us. So when we're talking about mental health, right, you can control some of these aspects and you can remove things that are causing you problems. And so control in this area can be a tricky thing to achieve. And often it really helps to have someone outside looking in, a therapist, a counselor, a friend, a partner, a professional coach like me, someone that can help you see a bigger picture and really say, okay, what can we eliminate? What can we do? And also help you recognize when there might be a problem that we're not controlling well and that we need to get a handle on. So you can control your reactions. You can control which feelings you hold on to, your expectations, your self-judgments, the stress that you take in and let stay, and how you release it. All of these things are in your control in regards to your mental health. And there's some great things to focus on. Okay, the next one is you can control who you get help from. And I think sometimes we feel a little trapped in the healthcare system, especially when a healthcare provider says something that doesn't quite seem right or doesn't quite align with your goals or sit well just in your gut. And I want you to know that you do have control over who is in your corner to help you. I hope you have a lactation consultant that you love and that can help you with the breastfeeding. If you don't, you should go find one. If your pediatrician is someone that you love and trust, I hope that's the case for you. But if they are saying things that don't quite fit into what you want or are just not seeming correct for you, go get a second opinion. And we're always really careful in our coaching and help with moms that we're not going against what other healthcare providers are saying, especially pediatricians who can have a more full picture, or even lactation consultants of the clients. My clients often have lactation consultants. They're weighing the baby, they're seeing the baby in real terms, and so we don't ever go against, but on occasion, we have encouraged clients to get a second opinion when I can see that what their healthcare provider is saying may or may not be evidence-based, but mostly that the mother, it's not sitting well with them. And so that's when we can encourage, go get us another opinion if you want. If they're saying the same things and you decide to move forward, that's great. But really what I want for you is control, right? I don't have an agenda on how you care for your baby or which advice you follow and don't, but it is my role as a coach to help you see the bigger picture and make sure that you're feeling comfortable and that you're doing things on your own terms. So we do actually have a program designed specifically to provide kind of a holistic care for working moms who are balancing, the science of lactation and the practical aspects of their life, using their breast pump at work. Our goal is peace and efficiency and control, right? Control is a big word that a lot of my clients like to use. If that speaks to you and that's another part of your process that you want to add to it, there is an application down below that you can schedule a call with me and my team and learn more about how our coaching program works and how it's maybe different from other things you've heard in the past. But controlling who is in your corner to help you is in your control, and depending on what that costs or what's available to you in your area or things like that can sometimes affect it. But don't feel like you're trapped with just what you're given, especially if it's not sitting right with you. Another thing that you do have control over is your definition of success. This is huge. Okay, you control your expectations. And I think my favorite question to ask here is, are my expectations realistic for me and based on my current circumstances? Okay, this might occasionally mean adjusting your goalpost, which I know can be frustrating, but as long as it's done from a place of peace and confidence, this can actually be a good thing and make your experience more enjoyable. What we don't want is you moving goals or changing up everything from a place of fear or frustration. If you're struggling, if you're afraid of what might happen, if things are not working well and you're like, okay, fine, I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to hit this other goal that I wanted to. I'm just going to do this, or like I'm done. These things coming from a place of it's not working and I hate this is really not what I like to see. I don't care how long you feed your baby or how you do it or whatever, as long as we're feeding the baby, right? I care that you have control over this experience. And sometimes that's redefining your picture of success. I think it can be really common for mothers, especially in this situation, to define success in terms of ounces. And, a really cliche and common thing that I hear is that your worth is not measured in ounces, right? And it's true. It's true. Okay. And if all of your goals are focused on ounces, how many ounces you pump, and it's almost tied to your self-worth as a mother, which I see a lot, that can be a really dangerous route because you don't always have control of your circumstances, your situation, and sometimes a few aspects of your milk supply, right? So tying your self-confidence and your worth as a mother to a measurement like that is a really bad idea. So defining, what does success look like for you? What does it feel like for you? What do you want to look back on this experience having felt and done? And, for working moms, like the moms I work with, they're career driven, right? Their careers are important to them. So is being a mother, and so is providing breast milk. It's usually like non-negotiable. I want to keep breastfeeding as long as possible. I'm using a breast pump to help extend that because I'm separated from my baby in a career that, either I have to be here or I loved it or I used to love it, I think. I'm struggling now, but I remember liking this at some point. You have more goals than just a number of ounces. And it's really important to have a clear definition of success for you, which may or may not be the milk number, okay? It's also really hard to succeed if you don't actually know your goal. So beyond the number of ounces of breast milk, okay, we're just gonna put that in the corner over there. What do you want this experience to be like? What things are most important to you? Baby at the breast, or breast milk in general, or, thriving in your career, feeling grounded and peaceful as a mom. What things are most important? And why are you doing this, right? Knowing your why can really motivate you on the days that it gets hard and feels like you're trapped, especially around that 6, 7, 8 month mark. That's usually where moms come to me and say, oh my gosh, I've been doing this a long time. Things are going okay, but I don't know if I can keep doing this. And that's when we need to have a conversation. Why are you doing this? Why is this even important to you? Why are you here? And that can really help reground you and figure out, why am I doing this? It doesn't matter to me. I want to know why it matters to you. Definitely a great idea to have SMART goals, meaning specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It's another video over there, but making sure that your goals are SMART can be a great place to start as well. You also have control of when to wean, all right? And we don't say quit here because it has a negative connotation and you've worked so hard, but sometimes we are forced to wean sooner than you want, and that's not what we're looking for, okay? We want to be in control of this experience. This one is last on my list because you really only have control of this part of it when you've maintained control and consistency throughout the rest of it. So many times I hear that mothers stopped lactating sooner than they wanted because things weren't working. That's not what we want, right? Either their milk supply decreased or they were so burnt out and mentally exhausted that they just were done. And that's the opposite of being in control, okay? I want you to be like Sunny, who at the beginning of this video at 9 months said, I could do this forever if I want to. I choose not to. And I have enough milk stored up to hit my 12-month goal, so we don't have to do much formula, but I choose to be done now. The feeling of peace and accomplishment and control that comes with making an educated and calculated choice is something that I want for you. And if you've made it this far in this video and are resonating with this kind of concept, you are my person, right? You're why I'm doing this. This is what being in control looks like. And this is why I've been trying to convey on my channel for so long that pumping, especially for working moms, is so much more beyond the logistics of pumping. And we tackle that first. We definitely make sure things are working correctly and efficiently. That's part of gaining control. But there are so many things that mothers that exit our program are like, I never even knew I needed this, or that this could feel like this, or could feel so grounding and peaceful in a time of life that is often chaotic. Now, I don't want to paint the picture that working moms have it easy. This is not easy, okay? And maintaining control, especially throughout your whole experience, is going to be an up and down process for you. Don't feel like you're going to get to this Zen place of control and just stay there. And now again, we're not shooting for perfection here. We're shooting to be in control, to do things on your own terms, and to be able to make choices no matter what that looks like for you. If you want some help doing this, please let me know. Again, there's an application down below. But I hope you found some tips and some tricks in this video to help you at least get started on your own, come up with a game plan, and then see if you can find some more control and peace in this experience. Good luck to you and happy pumping.